Her name was Maria Mandl. Her face, which later became as familiar to me as my own, was largely unknown. Her story, then and now, is couched in clichés and assumptions about good and evil. Later, when I knew most everything about her, the effort of telling her story became even more daunting. How does one tell the tale of a murderer? Is it wrong to try to understand her actions from some previously assumed mantle of empathy? And how does one tell Maria's story with compassion without negating the very real suffering of her victims? In Mistress of Life and Death, the fabric of Maria's life is woven together, utilizing dozens of interviews with survivors, perpetrators, witnesses, and family members, and culminating in the hangman's noose. By training and credentials, I am a classical oboist who has always nurtured a strong interest in music and musicians of the Holocaust. When I first began to perform these compositions, I was awed by their power and grateful for my ability to return a voice to so many who had their own voices so cruelly and prematurely silenced. I was drawn to Mandl's story when I discovered her connections to the Auschwitz-Birkenau Women's Orchestra. It was my great pleasure and privilege to speak with several of the musicians from that orchestra, many of whom became very dear friends. Although most have now died, my life has been infinitely enriched by knowing them. I am honored that they trusted me with their memories. What factors led Maria Mandl to follow the path into atrocity and evil? This larger question soon took precedence and became the strongest impetus behind Mistress of Life and Death. Maria was not intrinsically evil, but for her, and so many others, the path toward evil was a slippery slope of frightening ease. Thanks to the work of scholars such as James Waller and Christopher Browning, we now recognize many of the factors that can cause an erosion of morality and culpability. Nonetheless, there have always been people who act ethically despite external negative influences of community, government, and family. Why do some turn to evil while others do not? By focusing on this one life and fully exploring Mandl's transformation, I have sought to provide a greater understanding of what is, perhaps, an unanswerable conundrum. Ultimately, Maria's life journey encompasses the eternal questions of right versus wrong, good versus evil, and the paradox of how cruelty and compassion can exist in the same person. It reveals how easily even the most unlikely person among us can be influenced toward evil in a climate of hate and fear. This book is the result of a mutual journey of discovery, hers and mine. I trust and hope I have done it justice.